The St. Louis Blues fell to the New York Islanders, and now the problem continues on. How will this team ever have a chance of making it to the postseason this year? I don't know if it's possible, and neither do other experts in the NHL. This is all coming up here on Locked On Blues.
You're Locked On Blues, your daily podcast on the St. Louis Blues. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back to Locked On Blues. I am your host of Locked On Blues, Haley Taylor Simon, talking to you all things about your St. Louis Blues here, a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Wow. What a turn of events from yesterday's game. I'm going to talk about that, obviously, but the Blues, they just lost to the Islanders, and it was a bad loss. Concerns continuing to grow. What exactly am I most concerned about? And hard points ahead. And while every point is the same, right? You get one if overtime, you get two if you win it in OT, you get two if you win it in regulation. While that is the same, some of the teams that the Blues will be playing coming up are tough teams that makes me a little bit nervous for how they're going to react. I want to let you know today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDONNHL to get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Hello again, guys. How are you doing today? I know, tough loss, not good, but we have a lot to talk about on today's episode. I am getting ready to go on vacation. I will still be posting my episodes on vacation, so do not worry. I'm not going to leave you hanging during trade deadline week. But yesterday, I had a really cool experience with being a credentialed media member covering the St. Louis Blues. And I interviewed, I believe it was 8 different Blues players. And the questions that I asked, it wasn't just about the game. Granted, most of my questions weren't about the game. It was about things about the season and so many, questions about the future and, whole bunch of things. Essentially, what I'm going to do is throughout the next couple of weeks, about maybe like I'll post 1 or 2 of those interviews and then talk about it and incorporate it onto the episode. But yeah, so I have a lot of inside, I guess, scoop with some of your favorite Blues players. And I think I met every single guy on the team and spoke to mainly every single guy. And they're a great group of guys. This was my first time like actually meeting these guys in person. And I have nothing but respect for who they are as people. Very funny, some of them. Like Alexi was really funny, and so was Oscar. Like funny people, Walker, that whole line actually. So, really enjoyed being able to hang out with them yesterday and get to know them. I also was able to spend time with Jamie Rivers, who, as you know, does the color commentating. And it was so nice to finally meet Jamie in person and spend some time with him. And yeah, so it was just, again, an unbelievable experience. Really feeling the love from everybody in St. Louis. I met some amazing Blues fans when heading into the game yesterday who traveled from St. Louis. And again, every single person I met, I had nothing but kind things to say. Everyone was awesome. And a lot of Blue Note jerseys yesterday. I was very surprised. And I got told a lot of people are traveling with the Blues for this upcoming road series. So it was nice meeting them. Now, I wanted to be very transparent, but I did have a conversation with Kevin Hayes. And I'm going to keep the conversation about what we talked about off the record. But what I can say and what I want to share, because again, some things are personal and I don't always want to share everything I have talking to a player wise. I mean, many of you probably know, but I'm in Philadelphia and I covered him with the Flyers and I spent so much time, with Kevin Hayes and just seeing him and talking to him yesterday, it just makes you realize that, these are people and, all the BS that he went through earlier this season with all that drama, from the summer, like all these things. Essentially, what I'm getting at is people are people, right? And I always appreciate you, especially listening to this podcast, being kind and considerate. But last night, overall, they had a heck of a win, a shootout win against the Philadelphia Flyers, who are a very good team this season. I think they're going to make it to the playoffs. So, good team. And Jordan Binghamton looked like, I mean, he really got the Blues the win. Okay. He was stellar in that. Kevin Hayes got a goal. He got his first goal after having a 19-game drought. So I think that says, well, welcome back to Philly. So he got the goal. And then Philadelphia got the first goal with Scott Laughton. And then none of the teams scored in the third. And then they went to OT. Again, nothing happened. And Sam Ersson, who's the Flyers goalie, is unbelievable. Great goalie. So he kept the boys alive. And Binnington kept his team alive. And then they went to a shootout. And essentially, Pavel Buchnevich was able to get the shootout winning goal. And the Blues won 2-1. Both teams left with points or a point. And it wasn't a good game for either end. I know that my friends from the Flyers side told me that, Tortorella wasn't happy about it. Bannister was not happy about it. But the guy that was the least unhappy was, jeez. And I'm laughing, but Pavel Buchnevich, like, I was not expecting that whatsoever. He was so mad. And even when I talked to him, I'm like, are you just looking forward to tomorrow's game? He's like, every game's important. And like, he just was upset. And I know Bush is like a happy guy, maybe. He seems like he should be, I don't know. But, it gave me the same energy when he like slapped his stick when he was mad for getting the empty netter. He just seems to be a very emotional player, which is a good and bad thing. I also think that he's going to get traded on Friday. So I know a lot of you were asking me about that. But I want to talk about tonight's game as well, because tonight was not good at all. So I'm going to be honest. 1 minute in, my boy Alexei Turchenko scores for the Blues, assisted by Jake Neighbors. And I'm like, you know what? This is off to a good start. I mean, okay, first off, there was no score in the first period. So when I say minute in, I'm talking about a minute into like the second period. So I'm like, this is good. Like, the Blues never scored in the first period. Who am I kidding? So, like, what do you expect? So we go to the second period. Jordan Kyrou scores a goal. Okay, Ruzi assisted by Saad. Okay, I like the setup. And then we go downhill. And then we go downhill. Then the Islanders get 2 goals within 5 minutes of each other in the second period, tying up the game at 2. So now the game is 2-2. Okay. You know what? Blues can still come up on top, right? No. Because about like 30 seconds in, I believe the Islanders scored right away in the third period. And then Matthew Barzal gets an empty netter during like the last minute. The Blues lost 4-2. 4-2. And they had the 2-0 lead. So what does that exactly tell me about the St. Louis Blues? It tells me that this team that should be playing better hockey after a win over Philadelphia, who was a much better team than the Islanders, couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle it. And they fell apart yet again. And Kyrie even said, we had the win and we just couldn't hold on to it. What are you doing? Like, and I feel like it's hard for me to come on here and to be like, that upset, but I am that upset because I did say that I couldn't see them getting all 4 points because, again, this team doesn't do well on back-to-backs. But they looked tired on the ice and they looked like they gave up. And that's one thing I talked about with this team is the moment that they lose their energy, it's usually during the middle of that second period. It happens every single game if you've noticed. They can't bounce back. They're really bad bounce back teams. That's why I was kind of surprised yesterday that they even won because Philadelphia scored right away. And usually, as I said, when the other team scores, they can't, for whatever reason, get out of that funk. And the Islanders, they were dominating like every face-off. I think the Islanders were, like won. Like I just didn't see the Blues having any life after, especially those 2 goals in that second period. Now, while I can say that I think that they're gonna be playing the Devils next in a couple days, on Thursday, I believe it is. Yeah. So they're heading to New Jersey. Um, I'll talk about that. I see some of your comments. Leave me what you think about tonight's game. And you and I will have a conversation on it 110 million percent. I still can't believe that's how bad they played tonight. Like, that was embarrassing. But I just want to tell you really fast about my friends over at Sleeper. It's past the halfway point of the NHL season, approaching the trade deadline, Blues fans. And right now, this team needs every single point they can before they're officially eliminated from the playoffs. Regardless of where we're at in the current standings, I want to remind you that you can still win big by playing daily fantasy hockey on Sleeper, the official daily fantasy app of the Locked On NHL Network. Sleeper is our number one choice for daily fantasy sports and especially daily fantasy hockey. Because with Sleeper, you can win 100 times your cash in daily fantasy hockey contests. And this is where, you take your players, maybe like a Jake Neighbors, a Robert Thomas, Jordan Bennington, Pavel Buchnevich for now, and see if they will record more or less in their Sleeper projections for things like goals, assists, saves, plus minus, and more in a given game. To win 100 times bet on Sleeper, you need to correctly predict the outcome of 8 player stats. You heard me, Blues fans. You can win up to 100 times your money playing daily fantasy hockey with Sleeper. So start paying attention and nailing your picks so you can start winning big. Use promo code Locked On NHL and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. That's code Locked On NHL. See Sleeper's terms of use for details and locational availability. So I just saw a quote. I'm pretty sure this is from Coach Bannister. Oh, no, this is from Shen. He says, we've just gotta, as a team, find ways to generate more and not rely on the defense and goalies so much. Yesterday, I was talking to Bennington one-on-one quite a bit. And, we talked about how important the defense has been for him this season. How the guys actually have stepped up, okay, giving them credit. Like, they have done better. And one thing that Jordan told me that I found very interesting was that he said to me that, when he has that protection in front of the net from his defense, he can notice the effort. And I think that it doesn't go unnoticed. And, at the end of the day, your job is to protect your goalie. Your job is to help your goalie out. And Benner says it too. He says, same thing with Hofer, it's important for both of us to be able to have strong defense. And the defense, they have been doing their part. It's the offense, it's all the turnovers, and it's a lot of sloppy turnovers. I mean, when I spoke to Cairo, he even reiterated to me, how important these next couple of games are with, being close to the playoff elimination potentially. He didn't say that. He didn't say elimination. Like, I'm like, kind of hinted at him. But he even told me, like, this is important. This is the time where we need to prove what we have to do. Again, all those interviews I have will be posted throughout the next couple of weeks. But talking with Bennington after the game, so prior to the game, we talked about the defense, right? After the game, he reiterated to me about how they stepped up for him tonight. Well, last night. And tonight they did not. And I know that it wasn't Benner, right? And we talked about Hofer, right? I like Joel Hofer, and, Benner had a lot of nice things to say about him too. He's just not he just he just needs more time, okay? Don't hate him, nothing bad about him, just more time. It's fine. I'm shocked because Coach Bannister yesterday told us how important these back-to-back games were for the team's success, and I'm just shocked. I want to believe Banny, and I want to believe that the Blues are gonna do something special, but right now they only have a 7% chance of making it to the playoffs from puckdaily, .com or faceoffdaily.com. A 7% chance of making it to the playoffs. 7%. You know what that tells me? It tells me that in the next couple of games, if they don't begin winning and getting those points, they're gonna be eliminated because those Predators just went on a streak, dominating, and, you can't afford that. I mean, Nashville surprised me this season. I really was not expecting that from them, but they're playing like the better. I mean, they are the better hockey team. They're not even playing it like it. They are the better hockey team. Trade deadline is this Friday, so a lot could potentially happen. But the Blues still need to focus on Thursday's game, and I'll talk about that coming up about some points ahead. I'm still getting over my sickness, so if you see me like pausing, I'm just like I'm not contagious, so don't worry. I'm just trying to get like back my stamina again. So, passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guarantee Fit only available to U.S. customers. Dun, 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 dun. Tough points ahead. 100%. So, yes, the Devils did fire their head coach a couple days ago, Lindsey Ruff, right? But they have the Devils coming up. Tough game. Tough game. The Devils are a young team, and while they haven't had a great season, I still think that the Devils are a team that, can play you out. I mean, they can outskate you 100%, especially with their talent. So that's going to be a tough game. And that's on Thursday. On Saturday, the Blues then head to New York to take on the Rangers. Well, I don't see them winning that one. And then on Monday, they're taking on the Bruins. They really well could lose all these games coming up. Like, now I'm not wanting that to happen, and I'm not saying that's going to happen. Just realistically, I just don't see the Blues beating New York or Boston. I guess the next point that they could get would be against the Devils, and we'll see about that one. That's why these two games, especially the Islanders game, that was the one game that I had in saying they were in 100% win. They had the lead, couldn't get the job done, and that's on them. As we're nearing closer to the playoffs, this is when you need to play desperate hockey. Desperate hockey may not be pretty hockey, but it's at least getting you some more points. And yeah. So I got a question. Do you think Bushi will be traded? Yes, I do. I think this team needs a wake-up call. I think you need to get high draft picks, and he can provide maybe, depending, like a second round or something. Maybe a very late first round. Maybe an early second. I'm not a GM. I don't know. But yeah, I think that there's going to be some moves that are going to be coming up and happening. I don't see this team staying the way it has been. I get a sense of maybe a couple guys being traded. I wouldn't be surprised if they like put like Buchnevich and maybe like a Tucker or Perunovich together. I mean, they need to do something, and it's not going to be for this season. It's going to be for next season. They need to build a playoff contending team for next season. It's already too late this season, okay? It's very small chances of the Blues being in the playoffs. I like Drew Bannister because I had a question about, we need a real NHL coach. And somebody asked me, they said, do you think Banny is going to stay as the head coach? No, I don't. I think being an interim head coach, it's a tough position. He was the head coach of the Thunderbirds. Obviously, when Berube got fired, he got brought up. I think that for what it is this season, he's doing a good job. I'm not going to come at him because, again, this wasn't anyone's bingo card, right? That this would have happened. And I think he's been very graceful about it. He's doing the best that he can do. But I think you need a coach with a lot of NHL experience for the St. Louis team. There are so many legendary coaches in the league. And I think that the teams sometimes that are the most successful have those coaches that have those, years of experience and know the game in and out. I know that Bannister knows the game in and out, and I'm not denying that, but coaching wise at an NHL level, this is his first time doing it. And it's, different than the AHL. And it's not a diss to him, but the Blues are going to miss probably, I'm not going to say they are, they're probably going, even though Kyrie told me that he thinks that they can get in. Um, but the Blues are going to probably miss the playoffs for the second season in a row. Okay. That's the reality. So it's how can they get back next season? It's not going to be through having a mediocre trade this summer, this offseason. It's not going to be keeping all these older players. Like, you have to do something. So time will tell. I just hope for the Blues' sake and for your sake, there's a much more enjoyable hockey team for next season. All right. I will talk to you tomorrow when I'm out in Florida. And until then, let's go Blues.
You're locked.
That's the exit. Okay, done, bye.